My poem is Ode to Common Things by Pablo Neruda. I chose this poem because I was talking to my dad when looking for poems for this presentation, and he gave me a book by Pablo Neruda, and this poem was in that book. Pablo Neruda grew up in the city of Temuco in southern Chile. He is known for his love poems and odes. His poems are known to be difficult to translate, and only a small portion of them are in English because of that. Pablo Neruda is one of the most widely read and influential 20th century poets in the Americas. He is considered the greatest poet that wrote in the Spanish language during his lifetime, and he has a Nobel Prize in Literature. Neruda was a widely known communist and even was in the Chilean Senate representing the Communist Party. And one action he took from his political beliefs was he wrote letters for striking workers, and in those letters he criticized the president at the time. Neruda was a widely known communist and even was in the Chilean Senate representing the Communist Party. And one action he took from his political beliefs was he wrote letters for striking workers, and in those letters he criticized the president at the time. The poem is very long, mostly because each line doesn't have many words in it. So I'll show you snapshots of where figurative language is in this poem. There's personification in line 111, those things that leap and climb, desire and survive, and 121 to 122, and those were so alive that they have my life and will have my death. There's imagery in line 28 to 30, weaving, handheld through tobacco smoke, and line 76 to 79, fans upon whose feathers love has scattered its blossoms. There's alliteration in line 45, clocks, compass, coins, and line 46 to 47, so softness. There's a metaphor in line 48, as soft as the softness of a woman's hip, and repetition in line 1 through 2, crazy, crazy love. The poem is a ode, which Google defines as a lyrical poem in the form of an address to a particular subject, often elevated in a style or manner, written in varied or irregular meter. The subject in this poem is common things, as the title suggests, and there is no rhyme scheme or rhyme metric in this poem. So what movement was he in? He was known as an important link between the Surrealist movement and the Magic Realism movement. Surrealism was used to tap into truths that are beyond reality or non-real, and then the Magic Realism movement was mostly used by Latin American poets, and it was introduced fantasy elements into realistic settings. Pablo Neruda showed elements of both of these with his great imagery and personification. So why was the poem written? I could not find too much about this poem on the internet, and all that I could find about it is that it was written towards the end of his life. He died in 1973. Remember that date because it'll come again later. 3 years prior, he was nominated by Communist Party of Chile to be the presidential nominee. He then withdrew his nomination after talking to the Socialist Party nominee Salvador Allende, who later won the election. In the rest of the world, communism was spreading. The US was super worried about the spread, and President Nixon was even more worried. Before Salvador Allende even took office, Nixon gave an order to overthrow the government in fear of it becoming another Cuba. And we all know how well the overthrow of Cuba went. The US mounted pressure in Chile, and in 1973, 2 days before Neruda's death, there was a successful coup where his political ally and president of Chile, Salvador Allende, was killed. My assumption is that Neruda saw the increasing instability in both his home country of Chile and his idea of how a country should be run in communism. He just started admiring common things in his life, such as coins or a chair, to get away from what was happening. The way he described his objects is how some of us would describe a Lamborghini, a brand new car, or watching a sunset in a spot that only you know about. The author's purpose is to show that not only can poems display the feelings of an author, but also their appreciation of everyday objects that most people take for granted.